Hello and welcome back to the Barrow. I am Barrow White, and today we're going to be playing some NIMBY Rail, continuing the German Rail series, and we should be getting all the way to the end of RE5 today. Koblenz to Wesel. We stopped off last time there in Cologne on the east bank of the Rhine. And now we're moving our way up north through the city and eventually outside of town to other major German towns. There's something interesting. It says Hauptschule. A lot of times when, as I said before, a lot of times when we put down the train stations, we see the words post, which is post office. But sometimes we also see Schule, which means school. And Hauptschule is kind of like the Hauptbahnhof. It means it's the main school. Or it's not fair to say that. Hauptschule, I think, is a type of school. I don't know. Let's look that one up. Well, according to Google, a Hauptschule is a secondary school in Germany and Austria, starting after 4 years of elementary schooling, which offers lower secondary education according to the International Standard Classification of Education. Well, that was a little too formal. But it's somewhere between 5th grade and something else. And here we're at the Leverkusen Chem Park. And Chem Park sounds like it must be some kind of chemical area. I wonder if all those lines there are some kind of refineries or something. I'll see the streets there. Or it's what chem seems to me like. It'd be chemicals. And even here in America, we have like industrial parks, which is usually just the industrial part of town. So a chem park, I'm guessing, might be that. That one doesn't seem interesting enough to look up, though. Now, I've heard of Leverkusen, but I've never been there. But it seems like it must be a pretty big town, because it has several train stops. Kuppersteg. Umlaut U. Umlaut U is another one of those difficult things to say in German. I guess it's not super hard to say, but it's super hard to say correctly. Because they have U and U, U and U, and it sounds so much the same. It's one of those things where you could say a word over and over and over again, and it sounds so right, but you're not even close. Rheindorf. Boy, they weren't getting very creative with that one. That means village on the Rhine. Now we've got to Dusseldorf. Dusseldorf is a major airport, at least one that I've known many people to fly in and out of when they're going to America. Seems like most people fly through Frankfurt, but I know that Dusseldorf is a good alternative, especially if you're going to be a little further north in your visit to Germany. Now, the name of this town that we just had a stop, or this stop, is one that English speakers often have problems with because it has an SH in it, and Germans do not pronounce SH as sh. That's what SCH is for, like as in schedule. If you're British or English or from that region, but SH is actually not a combination of letters. It is the border between two syllables. So instead of Reichholz, it's Reisholz. Not sh, but z. Earlier, way back in RE1, when we were close to Kaiserslautern, we went by a place called Landshut, and Americans always call it Landshut, or Landshut, if you're pronouncing it strictly American, Landshut. But it's not shoot, it's not Landshut, it's Landshut. This thing, just like the town we just went by, the station, it's not Reisholz, it's Reisholz. It's a break between syllables, not a combination of letters. Well, I tell you, when I'm building something like this, I find it very interesting to watch the rails and see the big cities and stuff like that. But I think to watch it may be less interesting. So I really think I am going to start throwing down some landmark stuff. Now, Dusseldorf has a zoo, apparently. We just had the stop there. I've been to the zoo in Frankfurt many times. It was very nice. Another sound that Germans don't make in their words is the TH. Like the American or English, the or there. There's with, there's another example. It's just more or less pronounced like a T. I don't know why I've decided to turn this into some kind of German pronunciation guide. Maybe because I'm excited that I will be returning to Germany next month for vacation. And maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe our next route, or an upcoming route, will be along the Rhine between Koblenz and, I don't know, Wiesbaden? Because that's where I'm going to be touring next month. I'm going to hop on a train and just get off at every other town and go look at castles. Should be fun. It will be fun. I've done it before. I think I got a little confused here when my recording, because between the last town and this town, I lost that recording, and suddenly I just had the Duisburg Hauptbahnhof built, and then suddenly I was north there at Oberhausen. That's what I'm building right here, and I just don't know what happened. I think I was doing one of those things where you're recording and building and just thinking you're doing well. Next thing I know, I look back and I didn't have the record on, and I lost it. I missed recording it all. So I had a choice: do it again, or do one of those fancy things where the screen moves from left to right. And that's what I decided to do. Because you don't need to see every inch I build here. Heck, I'm already going at 4 times the speed. So at least you got to see the end result. And when we're done and we have trains running along this line, you'll be able to see that part as well. Ultimately, I was hoping this to just be a casual way for you to enjoy a little music and listen to me ramble. Can you imagine if we just went with just the little bit of train routes that I've built in this series, and if we went along those actual rails and we just counted every bridge that went over every little stream, every road, over a river, when you think just the sheer numbers of kilometers of rails and gravel and railroad ties and bridges and signals and everything else that goes along with it, it's amazing. It's just mind-boggling. And impressive. And most people go their whole lives. They see trains, they see rails, they see stations. Most people never use them. Maybe in Germany a lot more people do. But even then, you look at them, you even ride them, and I think you just take it for granted. It's just another way of getting somewhere. Or you see that train go by in a town somewhere and you're just thinking, oh, there's a train. But you just don't think about the incredible amount of infrastructure that makes that whole system work. And how long it took to build. And how much money and how many people were involved. And the planning, the execution, amazing. We've made it to Wesel. Now this is the final stop on this RE5 route from Koblenz to Wesel. And it runs hourly. And so we'll get some trains running on here in a little bit. And as usual, I have a hard time making them work because I've laid the rails wrong, or as you can see here, I forgot to connect some of the rails. So it can't find a path, or the only path I can find will be a collision path. But that's all just user error on my part. I get in a hurry, I lay down so many rails. And then I pull my hair out for 10 or 15 minutes until I figure it out. Now, of course, I need to build a depot at the end of at each end of this line, and there should already be a depot down at Koblenz. And the train that I use here is one that I downloaded as a mod. I forget if I explained that in an earlier episode, but it is one that's often used on these type of tracks, these type of routes. And if you go onto the Steam Workshop, there are a lot of trains that you can get, and they usually have the general look and feel of the normal train, of the actual train, but most importantly is they have the number of passengers and like a top speed of the actual trains that will run these routes. And so I don't need to be 100% genuine, but I do like to be, a little close. So here pretty soon we're going to do some test runs, and when I do, let's make sure we keep an eye on the number at the top middle. It says 151 at the moment, and that is the number of passengers that are on all of the routes in the game at the moment. Alright, when you see that screen appear, that means I'm fast forwarding to the next morning. And when you suddenly see it go from not working to working, that means that I skipped somewhere. I skipped ahead. Oh, something was wrong there. Well, it looks like it may be working now. What do you know? Nope, there was a little zigzag that should not be happening. And so when your train is doing that, when you see it go backwards and forwards all of a sudden, that means that it's seeking an alternate route because it couldn't find the direct route, so it had to kind of go back to the last station and then get on a different side of the rails or something. That means you have a problem. Now look at the number 16. It was 1626 at one time, number of passengers. That was pretty good. It's the highest I've seen so far, 1600. But it's getting late in the evening now. I would think that the number of passengers is going to drop off as people go home for the night. Yep, see that one, when it turns white, that means it's heading for the depot for the night. So that's all for this episode. Thank you for watching. Sorry if I rambled too much, but, you know, there was a lot of rails to cover there. So I thought I might have some stats, but where are they at? There they are. Built this episode 130 kilometers from Koblenz to Wesel, 29 different stations. And when I add that up to the first part of this route, we're at 223 kilometers, 54 stations. So I really appreciate you watching. Hit like and subscribe, and come back soon.